Hello and welcome to What I'm Looking At, a podcast about what I'm looking at. What else would I make a podcast about? Soap? I might make a podcast about soap. I do love soap, and I've often thought of reviving my Soap Girl YouTube channel, but some hobbies have to drop off, as I often talk about. I could bend over backwards and revive the YouTube, but I don't know, just not time yet. But if you want to have a look at the YouTube channel, it's called Soap Girl 88. Girl is with a G-U-R-L for whatever reason. G-I was probably taken. It's just a soap review channel. And I love soap. I just said that, but I'll say it again. I love soap, and I get really attached to the soaps that I'm using. I don't know if that's the same for you, but it's like an end of an era when a soap bar is at the end. It's like, wow, it starts out in this beautifully pristine box, and you're just so excited to unwrap it and to feel how it feels and smell how it smells, and then slowly it wears away and it gets to different shapes, and you get to know it in your everyday life. It's with you through thick and thin, through the dirtiest of hands and the mildly dirty hands. And I don't know, it's like a relationship with a soap bar. And then there comes a day when you're thinking, oh, maybe it's time for this soap bar to retire. It's gotten down to a little tiny sliver, and it's not very useful anymore, and it's just time to go. But then by that time, usually you've got a backup soap lined up, and you're excited about that one. So it is a bit harsh, but it's life, isn't it? It's just, things have its life, and then things have its life. I don't think that's a proper sentence. Things have their lives, and then they die. I've got 2 bars of soap going at the moment. One in the kitchen, one in the bathroom. One is a sort of patchouli scent. I was drawn to the color of it. It's orange, and it's really nice. That one didn't even have a box. It was just like a bulk store, and I grabbed it. And then the other one did come in a box, and it's a very unusual shape. It's like a log. Have you ever seen those fancy butter logs? That's what it reminds me of. And to be honest with you, I really love the shape of it, but I don't love the scent of it. It's very artificial smelling in a bad way, because sometimes I really like artificial smells. But this one, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me, and I'm a little bit excited to get to my new bar. And the reason I didn't know if I liked the smell before, because usually you would go and smell the soap in the store, and then, if you like it, you buy it. But this one I bought online, and I couldn't smell it through the internet. Our technology has not reached that level of sophistication. My brain is going faster than it should at the moment, and my mouth is not fast enough to keep up. That's what's happening. But what I was trying to say just now was the internet has not reached that level of sophistication when we can smell through the internet, and for better or for worse. But I think it would be nice to be able to smell through the internet when you're buying things on the internet. Now, I do have a third soap in the shower. I just remembered it's in like one of those jute bags that you scrub your body with. And again, I don't love the smell of that one. Someone gave it to me, so it was out of my hands, but I'm trying to use it anyway. And then there's a liquid soap in the kitchen, again next to the bar soap, and that's for dishes. I have experimented with solid dish soap, and it just never is as good to me as the liquid soap. And so I did buy liquid soap, and now they make these little sachets of granulated dish soap that you add water to, and it turns into a gel. How brilliant. And it's just paper, and so I don't feel as bad using the liquid soap anymore, because it's not like I'm buying the bottles every day. Okay, that soap ramble lasted way longer than I thought it was gonna last. I'm a little bit out of sorts today. I had to go to the doctor in the morning to get some blood tests. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I will get woozy, but I was having a lot of tests done, so a lot of you-know-what was being sucked out of my body, and I fought with every ounce of my energy and spirit to not pass out, and I felt bad because I was obviously eating into the next person's time slot. The nurse told me that next time I have blood drawn, I need to book a double slot to accommodate for my my condition. I needed to recover, it was coming out of my body, and I just started feeling so faint and seeing stars. I'm always laying down when I'm doing this, because one time I was sitting and I fell right to the floor, and that's the last time I sat for those appointments. But even still, I became very disoriented and pale and thought I was going to pass out. And the nurse was really nice, but it was a bit traumatic. And I did recover, and I did drive my car off of the premises. Do you ever feel like that when you're having, I don't know if it's 100% in my mind or if it's because I have low blood pressure, but I just feel like literally the life is being taken from my body, like a vampire is sucking my blood and I'm gonna die. I know blood is life force. I don't know, is it in my mind, or is that actually, like, do some people pass out more because they have less blood or bad blood pressure, low blood pressure? Anyway, it was unpleasant, and it started my day off in a scary way. But then I thought, oh well, it can only go up from here, and it has been going steadily up. And now dusk is approaching and the light is fading from the sky, and I was almost thinking, oh, I'm just gonna go home, but I really need to record a podcast episode, especially because I'm gonna have to pre-record quite a few of them in preparation for Loma the band to come and spend 2 weeks here recording, and then of course I'm going away in March to do recording for Cross Records, so I'm gonna have to be very organized and very tip-top on the podcast front in order to be providing you with even this bare minimum offering of every couple weeks I release an episode. Gosh, I used to do one a week, everyone, and I'm sorry. We're all just figuring out what works for our life and our stream of whatever we're doing. And this is what's working for me at the moment. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I just logged into my Anchor page and I saw that I've got one more subscriber, and up to 5 now, and I just feel so grateful to have your support in that money arena. It makes me feel like you care about this podcast and you care about me and you care about supporting me. And I know you could put your money in a lot of different places, and I'm just really grateful that you chose to do it on my podcast. So thank you so much to every single subscriber and every single listener, really. But if you want to learn more about subscribing, there's a link in the show notes, and you can sign up for $3.99 a month, and that will get you all the past episodes of my podcast and then support me ongoing. And you can quit at any time, by the way. For those of you who've already subscribed, you can quit if you want. If times get hard and you want to put your money elsewhere, no hard feelings. If you've never listened to this podcast before, welcome. This is, as I said at the start, a podcast about what I'm looking at, and it's meant to relax you. It's meant to calm your mind. It's meant to keep you company, and whatever you are doing, if you're falling asleep, then I'll be there with you to fall asleep. And if you're washing dishes with your liquid dish soap, I'm there with you doing that. And today we are going to look at a Nescafe Gold Blend Decaf. I'm not sure, I mentioned that my brain is running around faster than my mouth, and I'm not sure why, because I haven't had that many coffees today. I've only had one. I'm usually a two coffee kind of girl, but I've only had one, and I've also had a decaf. So I've had two. I've had one regular calf, one decaf, and the decaf I had is this instant coffee blend, and I'll tell you all about it right now. So if you can relax, if you have the freedom to relax and do nothing but listen to this podcast right now, then that's what I'm recommending. Get into a comfortable position and just listen to my voice describe every little aspect of this Nescafe Gold Blend Decaf pot. Okay, so instant coffee is really big here. It's bigger here than it is in the States, and I want to put a controversial take out there, as I sometimes like to do, and that is that instant coffee is actually not that bad. I'm venturing to say that it's actually good, and sometimes you don't want to do the whole coffee brewing thing. You just want a cup really quickly, and this is really good for it. I bought this decaf because sometimes it gets late, I want a coffee, and I don't want to not sleep at night. So I think I drank this coffee around 3 o'clock, and that's a bit late to be having caffeine, so it came in handy today. Overall, this canister, it's not a canister, it's like a jar. This jar is got my ruler, 6 inches tall by 2.5 inches wide and 2 inches deep. It's a sort of rectangular shape. It's made of glass and plastic, and these, I keep wanting to call it a canister. These jars are really handy for reusing. A lot of people reuse them as like pencil cases and other things. It's just a good jar to have around. But as you can hear, it's made of glass. Well, you can't really tell it's glass, but it is. And this is plastic. Can you hear the difference? I'm going to describe for you the front label as you would see it on a supermarket shelf. So here we go. We've got a gold sticker. It's very metallic-y gold, so it's not even just the color gold, it's like an actual gold, shiny, metallic label. And on the label, it's got a graphic in a bold circle The circle is brown, a deep brown, I would say like a dirt brown, and it's got a little ombre effect going from the left to the right. It's a slight ombre. I might even just call it a highlight. And it goes from light brown to that dark brown, but it goes fairly quickly. In the center of the circle, it says the following: Nescafe Gold Blend. Nescafe has, I'm assuming it's kind of its own font. It's in a white font and it's sans serif, but some of the ends of the letters are slightly upturned. And for instance, on the E, the lower E leg, I don't know what to call it, lower E leg, I'm just going to go with it, is curved. The top E leg is not, so it's a 90-degree square angle, whereas the bottom of it is curved around. And it's all in caps. The N of Nescafe, if you imagine in your mind writing a capital N starting from the bottom, and you go up and then you go across, it runs all the way across until F. So the E, S, C, A, F are all covered by this N offshoot. And then at the end of the N offshoot is a little red petal, and that is acting as the accent of the E for Nescafe, because of course the cafe has an accent on the end. And then there's a tiny R mark on the end of the E to signify it's been registered or something or other. It's like TM but R. The Nescafe again is in white in its special font. The red is a fire extinguisher, fireman red, fire engine red. The gold blend is in a different font. It's actually a bigger font than the Nescafe, and it's sans serif, very much more plain than the Nescafe, and it's thinner as well. It's in gold, predictably. It's gold color, says gold. The blend is the same font but smaller, and it's centered with the gold. And the blend has also an R at the end. And then overlapping on top of the circle under the blend, half on the circle, half off, is a sort of symbol, and it's like, it looks like a yin yang without the circles in either side, and they're in gold, and they're in a sort of effect that makes it look like it's metallic gold. Oh, I suppose it looks like a coffee bean, like an abstract looking coffee bean it's supposed to be. And now, surrounding the circle of the Nescafe Gold Blend, the brown circle, is another circle, and it's sort of like swirling around. It looks like, swirly, like striated, and it's blue and gold as well. It's giving me the effect that you're looking down on a cup of coffee, and around it is sort of swirling blue energy. The blue is I guess I would call it like a royal blue. Royal, slightly more purple than a royal blue, I guess. And it just looks like it's been painted, kind of, but in a very smooth way. So that comes out maybe only like a centimeter or so. And it's only on the front, so where the jar is curving around, the graphic doesn't follow it on the curve, if you get my drift. It's just purely on the very front of this label. Under the swirling energy coffee, it says decaf, D-E-C-A-F-F. I think in the States, decaf only has one F, but here I always see it with two Fs, so that's just an interesting little fact. And the color of the decaf is a dark blue. The swirl around the brown circle, it also has a ombre effect. It goes from lighter blue to darker blue, and the decaf is in the darker blue color. It is sans serif, I think probably the same font as the Gold Blend font, but it's centered under the abstract coffee gold bean. And under the decaf, it's now a information box, and it's divided into 3 sections or segments. The first box is divided into a top and a bottom, and then there's like a column break, and then the rest of the right side is filled up with something else. So all in caps, it says in the first box, rich aroma and smooth taste. Same sans serif font as the decaf. In the second box, under the rich aroma and smooth taste, is with golden roasted Arabica. In the third box, on the right, it says intensity 7, which I'm guessing is pretty far up there in terms of intensity. That is all in that dark blue color of the decaf. So that's it for the front label. The circle with the Nescafe Gold blend, the gold coffee bean, the swirling blue around decaf, rich aroma and smooth taste with golden roasted Arabica, intensity 7. That's all the information we have on the front. And then slightly above and more so below, you can see through the clear glass the actual I was going to say dehydrated, but it's freeze-dried coffee in little pellets. It looks kind of like fish food or fish stones. You know how when you get a fish from a pet store and you buy the stone? I've never done it, but I've seen them. I don't know why this is all fish related, but it somehow works. Little chips of the coffee that dissolve when you add hot water into the cup with them, and they're a deep brown, again looking a little bit like dirt. So I'm going to flip this jar to the side. Now we see this jar has been molded in a way where there's a divide. So there's a squiggly line dividing this side portion into the clear glass and then the label. The label is in this interesting shape where it's kind of swooping around. If you imagine this jar wearing like a bib or some kind of neckerchief, that's what it looks like it's doing. So on the side, it's got, the only thing on this side is the intensity rating, and it says 7 again, with a bunch of dots that go from light to dark. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it goes from 1 to 10, apparently. We're at 7, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are lighter in comparison to the 7, and then it gets darker and darker and darker. The intensity and the 7, that's in a new brown ink. Oh, it's not new. It's the same brown as the circle that the Nescafe Gold blend is on. So now we're going to turn it to the back. And now there's just a small strip of the gold label with the abstract coffee bean nicely centered on the top here in a very subtle display. It's not metallic in itself, but the label is the same metallic as the front. It's all one continuous label. And then we've got most of the glass here is visible on the back, and a bunch of stuff is printed mostly in white directly onto the glass. So the first thing I'm looking at, it says grown respectfully since 1938. discover more on nescafe.co.uk. First of all, I'm highly dubious. I don't think that this is true, probably, that it was grown respectfully since 1938, but then again, I have not done my research. The grown respectfully, I'm going to call it a logo because it looks like one, is in its own font. It's very playful and wacky, kooky. It's got a leaf coming out from the W. I won't get too far into it, but below it says discover more on nescafe.co.uk, which I said, and that's also in a similar font, like a more handwritten type of font down below. And then when we look over to this other stuff that's written, it's in a much more boring, plain font. I'm gonna take that back. It's not boring, it's just plainer, and I like it. It says in lower caps, except for the T of this, it says, this blend is decaffeinated using water and contains mountain-grown Arabica beans. Savor the richness from the soul of the bean. I have to admit, it does taste good. So I think I did detect the soul of the bean. All of that is underlined by a thin white line. So the grown respectfully and that... there's just someone hammering, and so I paused, hammering something metallic outside, but I'm gonna try and soldier on. So the grown respectfully and this blend is decaffeinated. They're all on top of a dividing line, and below that dividing line it says in the same font, decaffeinated, freeze-dried, soluble coffee packaged in a protective atmosphere. Ooh, wouldn't you like to be inside of a protective atmosphere? I would. Next we have a logo, and it's the Nestle logo. It's in white and I think it's black or brown ink. I can't really tell if I think it's black. It says good food, good life, and there's an illustration of a bird in a nest in a tree with two baby birds, and I'm guessing that the bird is going to feed the baby birds. I think that's the main Nestle logo, actually. And Nestle is in a different font than the Nescafe Nestle logo text, but it is a very classic Nestle look with the R at the end, and the N has that same flourish running above all of the letters of the Nestle. Next to it, it's got a box with an arrow. It says contact us free 0800 585759 UK or 00800 6378 5385, and that one says ROI www.nescafe.co.uk, PO Box 207 York Y091 1XY UK, Nestle Ireland 3030 Lake Drive, City West Business Campus, Dublin D24 KX6Y. That's all that's in that little box. And then next to it, it says 100 grams E. Nutritional Compass. Registered trademark of Société des Produits Nestlé SA. 1 mug equals 1 teaspoon plus 200 milliliters of water. I sometimes put in more. Then there's a recycle symbol and a good old-fashioned barcode, which reads 76130360698030. Best before end of December 2023 at 1:58 p.m. and that's in a black box, and it says 13361092. That is all that's on the back. And then on the side is a very, very, very small QR code, and above it it says 440-33955. There's not much on the bottom. It's a debossed something or other, which I can't read at the moment. Some numbers. And the lid, I failed to mention, that's the plastic portion. And it's a gold cap, a kind of squared, rounded off corner square cap. And it says Nescafe on the top, embossed. And no color, just the gold included in that cap. So everyone, that was the Nescafe Gold Blend Decaf, and I can attest to its delicious nature, and I cannot attest to if it was grown in a fair way or not, but maybe I'll look it up when I'm done. I want to wish you a very, very happy and healthy new year. I think this will definitely be released after the new year, but it is going to be the start of the new year, so still relevant. New Year is one of my favorite times. I just love new beginnings. I mean, every moment is a new beginning, but it is a convenient kind of marker for time passage, a new year. 2023, what does it hold? I don't even know. But whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, I hope that you're feeling however you need to feel, whether it be fulfilled or loved or appreciated or warm or just simply alive. If you want to touch base with me, you can do so at CrossRecord on Instagram, Steady Waves Center, steadywavecenter.com, and check out my YouTube channel. I'll be putting a new video up there pretty soon. And I'll see you next time. Until then, bye.